Hello, everyone. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and welcome to Phone Dog Live, the podcast. I'm glad everyone could be here. I love right before the show starts, and I'm getting everything together. I log on to Ustream, and if there's people already here, and they see whenever I log on, and then whenever I start the intro and I have the screen ready, and all of the comments, I love seeing. Oh my gosh, she's here! It makes me feel like people actually watch, and listen to what I say. But that's just all it's just my imagination. It just makes me feel better, basically telling lies to myself. Anyway, good show today. We have some big stuff. We've got iPad news, rumors. I guess you could call it news. News kind of carries the connotation that it's actually factual, although maybe that's old-fashioned thinking, but so I don't really know if you could call this news, but it's rumors at least. The Galaxy Nexus, the whole thing about that being banned, we're going to talk about it, and then RIM. I have some thoughts that I want to share about RIM, and this is really just going to be like you're going to be my sounding board. I'm kind of just going to share what I've been thinking and sort of pondering about RIM. So I don't know. We'll have to see if we're going to get to that. I do want to start with the iPad news just to kind of, get it out of the way, basically, so I don't have to constantly be hoping that I have enough time for that. I'm just going to do it now. That way we do have enough time and I'll be done with it. Smaller iPad possibly coming in October. That's what we're hearing. We have two separate reports. There's a report from the Wall Street Journal and there's a report from Bloomberg, and they are both saying, well, their sources at least, are both saying that we could see a smaller iPad in October, and their sources say that it'll be somewhere between, I think, 7 and 8 inches. The Wall Street Journal sources said it would be less than 8 inches, and then the Bloomberg, their sources said it would be between 7 and 8 inches, so maybe like 7 or 7.5, I don't know. This is not anything new, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I don't want to spend a lot of time on this topic, because we've heard it so much, and I don't want to say that I don't think it's going to happen, because we all know that the minute I make predictions, the complete opposite happens. So I'm not gonna say either way, because whatever I say, I'll be wrong, because that's always the way it is. But I do kind of doubt this. I mean, not that it's not in Apple's nature to make a small iPad. I mean, it's not like, from what I can tell, there's some principles that Apple holds to, and the whole thing, like for example with iOS, keeping it simple. You could kind of make an argument that maybe there will never be widgets, because that's just not the way. Maybe that'd be too complicated. The thing with 4G, not having the iPhone be a 4G device, they always want to make sure it's the best of the best, and right now they don't think. I mean, there's certain principles that you can hold to, that you'll be able to predict their future actions, based off of those principles. I don't really think there's anything that Apple has against small, 7-inch tablets. So this rumor could very well be true, but there's really nothing else to go on besides that. those are like I said, we've heard this so many times. October is kind of a little different. Usually we hear about the new iPad in springtime, kind of like March, around then. So hearing of a new one in October, that either means, that they're now going to have two different launch dates, like the small one will be released in October, and then the new big one will be released announced in March, or maybe they're going to change the announcement dates for both of them. I don't know. This is kind of just one of those things. One of the sources said that it will not have a Retina display. So this is kind of where I start to doubt, because all of the reports that we've heard, it's like a cheaper iPad. Like kind of like how we heard reports of a cheaper iPhone. I never thought that would happen, because Apple doesn't think cheaply. I mean, their computers are like $2,000. It's their lowest, most inexpensive computer is going to cost you $1,000. Granted, they're great computers, and I think if you were to compare their $1,000 computer to a $1,000 Windows PC, that is high quality. I'm not talking like a piece of crap, whatever computer that just has like an AMD quad-core processor, and I'm talking about like a high-end, great computer. Like, price-wise, they're comparable. It just seems expensive because they don't have any cheaper models. So, that was kind of like, you go back to the iPhone, like, well, they're just not going to have a cheap iPhone because they don't make anything cheap. So, when we hear about these small iPad rumors, they're always like, well, it's going to be like a cheaper model, it'd be smaller, it won't have a Retina display. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't really think they care about that segment of the market. It's either like, well, drop 1,000 or, be like everyone else, even though, anyway. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about that. But I just, kind of wanted to talk about that. I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts on it except for that I don't think it's going to happen. So there, I made my prediction, and now this October we will see a smaller iPad. Or is it because I have accepted my prediction and then therefore said that it will be wrong and that we will see a smaller iPad? Does that now mean that we will not see a smaller iPad? Boggles the mind. I mean, look, mind blown. Okay, think about that one for a minute. Yeah, let's move on. So here's the big thing. The big thing that everyone's talking about. Apple has been granted a preliminary injunction. They won a preliminary injunction. I'm not sure how to say this. They won a preliminary injunction against the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. This actually happened on the 29th, which was last week. Samsung appealed the decision, but their request to stay at the Galaxy Nexus injunction was denied. By the way, any lawyers here, I don't know what that's to stay. Like, to me, if I were to read, they filed a request to stay the injunction, that to me makes it seem like they want it to remain. But in reality, they wanted it to go away. I don't know, maybe it's just that legal jargon. But anyway, they wanted the injunction to go away, to not have a ban. The request was denied, and so it is still banned. Now, the good news is that Google has said that they have a fix, that for the time being, Galaxy Nexus is off the shelves, you can't buy it, but it will be relaunched within a week, and it'll be launched with Android 4.1, which is Jelly Bean, and that somewhere in there is the software fix that makes it not violate Apple patents. Now, the patent that they're referring to that Apple is claiming is being violated, is being legally raped. That's bad. That's just insensitive. It's just violate makes it sound okay. Stop. The patent has to do with multi-source searching, and this is basically like Siri. So, like, I've heard examples, people, of this software feature is now in like the Google Play Store, where you can do a search, and you do a search for certain terms, and then it'll bring back results by searching the Play Store and all these other different sources, and it'll bring back that. I've heard that example. One of the more common examples I hear is it's basically like Siri, and where you can go to one interface, you go to one screen, you do a search, and it will search through the internet, it'll search videos, it'll search through news, it'll search everything, and then bring you back results to this one interface. So that's Siri, and Android obviously has a feature. Google Voice has done that like forever. So that's what they're talking about. The interesting thing about this is that it's not quite just the feature. It's not just the fact that you can do a search from one interface and it will search through all these different sources for you. It's not necessarily the feature, it's really just, it's the method, it's the way that it does that. Because that was my bad, I didn't mean to do that. That scared me too. I was like, whoa, okay. So if you read through all of these, patent applications, whenever they file the applications, it always says a method for doing this or this, a method for, getting this done, or a method for, it's always the method. So with this, it actually is kind of a somewhat easy fix because, they can still have the feature just as long as they find another way to make it happen. And I'm not so sure that, I don't know what that would involve. I'm assuming it's just code that they would have to change. I don't know. I don't know what they would have to do to fix that. But it seems like a fairly easy fix, and you can kind of tell it is because Google is like, yeah, we're gonna fix it in a week. It'll be done. Somehow in Android, I don't know if they said that it'll be fixed and then it will be re-released, but now with Android 4.1. So I don't know if it's something in Android 4.1 that where the method is different, where it does it differently, or if it's like a special update for the Galaxy Nexus since that's the one that was banned. I don't know. But there's a couple of questions that I've asked before. There were some things that I got confused about. And one thing that, so I talked to a patent attorney, a local one here in Dallas. I've actually interviewed him before. If you guys remember, a couple of months ago, whenever all of these lawsuits first came out with Samsung and Apple, I wrote an article basically kind of, I interviewed him, I got all of these answers to all of these questions that we've ever asked, and published the article. This was back when it was more about trade dress. It was like TouchWiz looks too similar to iOS, and so that's why they sued. It was back with that. But anyway, so I got in touch with him again. I asked him a couple of things. My biggest one was, why not sue Google? And you guys know I've ranted about this so many times, and I've accused Apple of not having the guts to sue Google. I've said this is just ridiculous. I mean, why are you suing Samsung? It's not their fault. They're not the ones that, created this software feature. I mean, this is an Android feature. Android is owned by Google. Sue Google. I've vented about this so much on the show. So I asked him, I was like, what's up with this? I mean, why are they suing Samsung? It's really Google's feature. So I'm just going to read what he said because he explained it better than I could. He said, a U.S. patent provides its owner with the right to exclude others from the following acts of making, using, selling, offering to sell, and importing into the U.S. the patented invention. It is up to Apple to choose all or any party violating any of these rights, be it Google, Samsung, or others, and then therefore sue them. Also, because a preliminary injunction seeks to stop the immediately infringing activity, Samsung is a logical choice as a manufacturer who is closer to delivery of the phones to customers. So there's actually two main reasons. The first is that, yes, this multi-source searching, it's a Google Voice thing, it's an Android thing. Yes, it is from Google, but when Apple holds that patent, the law states that they actually have the right to sue anybody that is using anything close to that, and they don't have to sue Google. They can sue Samsung if they want to, even if Samsung is virtually innocent. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, yeah, they're using this feature, and so they may knowingly be violating patents, but I mean, it's Android. Like they can't change Android. They can only add skins. They can't change it. So even though Samsung appears to be pretty much innocent, Apple can sue them and leave Google completely out of it. That's just the way the law is, which again shows how ridiculous patent law is. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because Apple is saying, well, they have this feature and they're stealing our customers and we're losing money and it's emergency, let's get this done. It's quicker to, if they really want to stop the sales, it's quicker to get right at Samsung since they're the ones that control. I mean, they make the phones, they deliver the phones to the carriers, they're the ones that sell the phones on their store. So if they're really trying to get it banned, Samsung has more control over the sales than Google does. I mean, Google doesn't sell phones. So if they sued Google, yeah, it would be a case, but if they really want to get it banned, then Samsung would be the company to go to since they're the ones that sell them. Which kind of makes me wonder, so could they sue AT&T for selling, or Verizon for selling the Galaxy Nexus? I mean, theoretically, they could. Now, obviously, they're not going to do that because Verizon sells the iPhone, but it kind of just shows you how screwed up this whole system is. So that was kind of interesting. I've always wondered about that, why they don't sue Google. That's why, because they don't have to. But this also kind of shows, it actually kind of proves my point that Apple is actually afraid of suing Google, because this attorney, his name is Greg Carr, by the way, if you guys want to Google him. This attorney, he said, Apple may have also chosen not to sue Google to avoid starting a patent dispute with another competitor, given that Apple was already suing Samsung for infringement of other patents as well. Filing suit against a competitor in the wireless arena is highly likely to prompt the competitor to file one or more patent infringement suits in retaliation. And so, the thing is, Google is bigger than Samsung, and so if you probably don't want to pick a fight with Google, and I think that kind of shows that this really isn't about anything. This isn't about justice, and I've said this before. This was a couple of months ago. To me, this isn't about justice. It's not about laws. You're breaking laws. We want justice to be done, because if that was the case, they would sue Google. They would nip it right at the snake's head. They would go to the courts. They would get everything done, no matter how long it took. If it really were about justice, they would go right to the source and they would sue Google. But it's not about that. This is just about petty stuff. They feel like, someone did something similar and it was a good idea and now they're getting customers, or, hey, that's not fair, you're selling a lot of products too, or, now that the Galaxy Nexus, think about the Galaxy Nexus, it's been out for a while now. It's not a popular phone. There's so many other phones out that, the Galaxy Nexus being banned really is not that big of a deal. I mean, who's buying it now? Not that many people. But it slows down Google. It's something else on their plate. It's something else on Samsung's plate. It's something else for them to worry about, something else for them to think about besides whatever else they think about. And of course, they're a huge corporation, so they have legal departments, and the department that creates phones is not dealing with the patent lawsuits, but it's just something else to slow them down. And to me, it just shows, again, that this isn't about justice. This isn't about competitiveness and making sure that there's innovation, that you're not using other people's ideas. This is just personal. It's about Android, the fact that it's popular, the fact that it is similar. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that Android is similar to iOS. And yeah, I mean, I would like for it to be as different as possible, because I think that's a good thing. But this isn't about justice for Apple. This is simply just about, stopping everyone else. If you can't beat them, then get someone else to beat them, and then, you have time to do other stuff. I think it's really ridiculous. I think it's childish. I think it's cowardly. And the last time we talked about this, I said I hope the judge sees through it. I hope she completely sees through everything that Apple is doing, but so far she hasn't, because she granted Apple's request for a preliminary injunction, and she denied Samsung's request to stay the injunction. So I don't know, it's not looking good. But the good thing is, I thought this was interesting, that Google has actually plan to back Samsung in its appeal. So that's a good thing. And that's something that we've called for a long time, because, maybe Apple isn't suing Google, so Google can't, go to court and fight that battle, but try to give them a little bit of support. I mean, there's got to be something you can do. These manufacturers, they're going to war for you. They're on the front lines, taking bullets for you just so they can use your operating system, and you're just, making money, and not even Google doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to make anything. They create a few software updates and, give it a new look every couple of months, and that's pretty much it. It's the manufacturers who are making all these phones, designing the phones, getting sued for making the phones. It's about time Google stepped in and kind of helped them out a little bit. So that's the good news. I just hit the pop filter again. Anyway, that's the good news, but I really do think it's ridiculous. I want to move on to RIM, and again, like I said in the introduction, I kind of have had some interesting ideas lately, and I want to just kind of bounce them off of you. So, for a long time, basically ever since I've been in the mobile technology industry, I've been wondering, what's going to come next? What's the next big thing? And that's something that we all think about all the time. We love technology, and we always want to see what the next big thing is. And I know the next thing, we've got it was first it was phones, and then it was we had smartphones, and then that we had 1 gigahertz processors, and that was huge, and then we had dual core processors, and that was huge, and then the next thing was like 4G technology, and that was huge. The next thing was having larger displays, and that was huge. But it's still just smartphones. It's still just a square or a rectangle thing with a 4-inch screen and a grid of icons. You look at Android, it's a grid of icons with some bigger squares called widgets. If you look at iOS, it's a grid of icons. Windows Phone, it's kind of different. It's refreshing, but it's still a grid of squares. It's still just the same thing. It's just this bar of metal with a screen. And and they add new features. They add 4G, or they add an HD display, or they kind of make it look a little different. Like they add some skins, or whatever. But it's still just the same thing. And I want to know, I think about what's the next big thing. Android, the world, we're not going to stay here. 20 years from now, it's not going to be Android and iOS, okay? It's just not, because that's just not the way the world goes. Think about 20 years ago, we were in I guess by now that was the 90s, and, back then, things were completely different, and then Android came along. So 20 years from now, it's going to be nothing like it is right now. So what's the next big thing? And of course, it's hard to know that when I'm not an inventor. I don't know what people are working on. I don't know what I would like to see. I mean, I have ideas of what I would like to see, but it almost seems like as consumers, we don't really know what we want until we see it, until someone makes it, and then we're like, yeah, that's perfect. Of course I want that. You think about a smartphone. Right now it seems so obvious. Right now, when smartphones exist, you could easily say, well, yeah, I want something where I can read my emails, send text messages, and browse the internet. I want that. But that's because we have it. 10 years ago or 20 years ago, did anyone think, yeah, I want to carry around something where I can check my email and browse the web? No one thought of that because, we're consumers. We don't really know what we want until someone makes it, and then we know that we want that. So I know that kind of maybe seems like I'm rambling, but my point is that someone is going to have to make that. And, I think about mobile technology seems really popular right now. And I kind of wonder, is it popular to me because it's my job, or is it actually just really popular? And I think it's actually really popular. I think smartphones actually are a very defining product of our generation. And I actually feel kind of fortunate that I happened to get into that industry, because what are the odds, So, so then I kind of go on to, well, is this the age of mobile technology, or is mobile technology the new technology? I mean, is futuristic technology, is it all based on mobile technology, or is mobile technology, is this kind of just a phase that everyone is going through? Okay, again, I'm rambling. My point is, somebody is going to have to create that, and I have a feeling that RIM is trying to create that, and I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't know what they're working on, but I have a feeling that RIM is working on something that's bigger than we think. I say that because Torsten Heinz, the CEO of RIM, recently wrote an article or an editorial for the Globe and Mail. I really should know the name of this, but anyway, he recently wrote an editorial called "RIM Will Empower People Like Never Before," and I want to read to you just a couple of sentences from this. Okay, he said, in technology, it is not if you have to change, but it's when you have to change. And we are in the earliest days of truly mobile computing. With BlackBerry, RIM created the framework that gave people their first taste of an untethered yet completely connected life. And then speaking of BlackBerry 10, we expect to empower people as never before. BlackBerry 10 will connect users not just to each other, but to the embedded systems that run constantly in the background of everyday life, from parking meters and car computers to credit card machines and ticket counters. So they're not just thinking about creating a cell phone that's a smartphone and like everyone else. So like, okay, so we've got Android and they all can check your email and web browse and download apps. So, all right, let's make sure we create a smartphone that can check your email and web browse and download apps. They're not thinking about doing that. They are genuinely trying to create the next big thing, which is exciting for me because I think about that a lot. What is the next big thing? And it seems like RIM is trying to create that. And if you think about it, who better? I mean, really, who better? Who created the smartphone? People give credit to Apple. Well, if it weren't for the iPhone, we wouldn't have Android. We wouldn't have Windows Phone. Really? Really? I mean, come on. Honestly, Palm Pilots, those were around forever. I remember back in the 90s when I was probably 8 to 10 years old, and I remember this guy that was friends with my dad, and he had a Palm Pilot, and it was the most ridiculous thing because you had to learn, you young people probably won't remember this, but or you won't even know this, but you had to write a certain way because you couldn't, like say you wanted to do an A, well you couldn't pick up the pen, you couldn't do that and then pick it up and go across. So they had a specific alphabet where you had to write. That's not the point. The point is that we had Palm Pilots, okay? And then those kind of developed, and then we had Blackberries. And Blackberries, they started out as kind of just, handheld, semi-connected, but, not entirely. But then they became connected devices where you could link to a network where you could get documents, where you could check your email. They became a smartphone long before the iPhone. And so, people think about, well, the iPhone was the first smartphone. It wasn't. BlackBerry, RIM and Palm really created this whole mobile technology revolution. They created the next big thing back in the 90s before anybody, they were just kind of grasping at it, and then they finally got it. Apple is the one that made it popular. I give them kudos for that. I still think that we would be where we're at right now without the iPhone. I honestly, genuinely believe that. I believe that if the iPhone was never made, we would still have smartphones that are great. I think they would look different, because I think the iPhone gave consumers an idea of what they wanted to see, and so now everything kind of has to be similar because that's just what consumers want. But I genuinely believe that we would have smartphones because, BlackBerry had already started that revolution. So if you think about it, who better to create the next big thing than the company who created the last big thing? And so that's why I have the feeling that that RIM is really trying to do that. And I can be honest, I have no idea what they're trying to do. I can tell you, when I went to BlackBerry Worlds, NFC was actually, no one really talked about it coming out of that conference. No one talked about the emphasis that was put on NFC. But there was, like, at the conference, there were several, different sessions that you could go to, and there were like 200 of them. And one of them was about NFC, and no one was at, you go to these sessions and there's like 10 people there, even though there's like 300 people at the conference. I don't know what everyone was doing, but so I go to this NFC session and there's like 20 people there. And so it wasn't like that big of a deal, but they talked about NFC being a huge part of our life, not just to make payments, but to open your house door, where it's not just, a card scanner, but it's in your phone, and only your phone can unlock your house door. Or, when you go to work, a lot of people who work in offices, they have a card key to access. So now you use your phone to get into the door. And since your phone is connected to a network, your boss can see when you come in, when you leave. They can give you, if it's after hours and the door is locked, they can give your phone permission to get into the building even, after hours. You can use it for your car, to get into your car. NFC was a huge thing beyond anything that anyone had ever talked about. And I think that's one of the things that RIM is trying to do here, which is going to be extremely difficult, but whatever. Who knew that Palm Pilots would later on be ruling the world? So that's kind of just one little smidge of what I think they're trying to do. So let me go on to another paragraph. Hold on, I'm trying to find the right paragraph that I want to read. Okay, as this market grows and includes more people in more countries, there is more room, a true need really, for alternatives, which is what I talked about, I think, just last week. People, they diss RIM and BlackBerry, they talk trash about Windows Phone, they talk trash about Symbian and Migo and whatever. Maybe you don't like it, and maybe BlackBerry sucks. I don't know. It's all personal opinion, but the bottom line is that we need these alternatives, which is what he's pointing out. There's not only room for it, there is a need for alternatives. And he goes on to say that's why RIM has chosen to pursue a strategy that eschews the homogenized sameness of competing ecosystems, which is like, boom, there it is. There it is. They're not just creating a smartphone. They're not just creating another phone that's like the iPhone and like Android and like all these other things that we have out there. Those things are great, and I love those. But what's the next big thing? And he just said, we're not going to make another phone with a 4-inch screen and a grid of icons. We're not going to do that. We're going to make something that's completely different, which kind of gives you a hint as to why it's taking so long for them to get these devices out. So that's I have no ending here. I have no final, boom, this is what it is. This is what we're going to see. This is what to expect. But I kind of just wanted to share that I'm actually kind of really excited about what RIM is trying to do, and I don't know if they'll accomplish it, but I think it's huge that they're trying to do it, because no one else has. Android hasn't revolutionized anything. The iPhone hasn't revolutionized anything. They've improved on revolutions. Palm Pilot, Blackberries, those were revolutions. And then the iPhone made it better, Android made it better, but they haven't changed anything. They haven't created anything or, created the next big thing. The iPad, created a tablet market, which is big, but it's still just, it's mobile. It's mobile computing. And not to downplay it, the iPad was a big thing. And starting a tablet revolution, that's a big thing, but it's still mobile computing. And so somebody has to have the guts to kind of say, we are going to create the next big thing. We're not going to make another smartphone. We're not going to make another iPhone. We're not going to do what everyone else is doing, because someone's got to change it. Someone's got to make the next thing that we're going to be using for the next 10 years. And RIM is trying to do that. And I think that is great. I think that is awesome, and I am really looking forward to it. If they fail, so be it. At least they tried. What has Apple done? Apple has sued everyone. What's Google done? Google has made Android look pretty. Good for you. Why didn't you do that to begin with? And Microsoft, what's Microsoft done? They've made the smartphone look different, but it's still a smartphone. Someone has to make the next big thing, and I have said that a million times, but I'm telling you guys, Android, iOS, this is just a little blip in the history of the world, okay? I want to see what the next 10 years is going to be like, and I have a feeling that RIM is trying to show us that, and gosh darn it, I am excited, okay? And I will, and it's kind of funny, he went on to say While some who have never made the drive to Waterloo pontificate about software they have never seen or devices they have not touched, developers around the world are getting increasingly excited about the possibilities BlackBerry 10 offers. And that is so true. And we haven't even seen or used BlackBerry 10, the software or the hardware or whatever else it is that that RIM is trying to do here. So what makes us think that we can doubt it, that we can make fun of RIM, that we can dig its grave, that we can say it's over, you're gone? We haven't even used it before. I mean, back with Google and Apple, and they weren't doing jack, and everyone's like, yep, Google's dead, Apple's dead. I mean, nobody said that. But no one knew what they had coming down the pipeline. So you know what? We can't say anything bad about BlackBerry 10. Enough with the jokes about RIM, because we don't even know what they're doing. So, and then if it comes out and it sucks, then we can make jokes about them. The jokes can continue. But I am excited, and I am looking forward to the next big thing. I hope RIM creates it, because it's about time somebody did, but who knows. Speaking of that, a couple of devices, a BlackBerry roadmap has leaked, showing several device release timeframes. We got the 4G playbook, which is dead on arrival, coming in Q4 of this year. It's a playbook, fans will buy it, and it's a 4G version, so yeah, whatever. The BlackBerry London, which is the full touch BlackBerry phone, and then the BlackBerry Nevada, which is the one with the physical QWERTY. That's coming in the Q1 of 2013. We already knew that. Those are probably the first two BlackBerry 10 flagship devices. BlackBerry 10 update for the playbook coming sometime in the Q1 or Q2 of 2013. BlackBerry Nashville, I don't know what that is, but Nashville is coming in this second or Q3 of next year. And then a 10-inch BlackBerry playbook is coming in the Q3 of 2013. So, we don't know what all these devices are going to be like or look like, or, are they going to change the market? I don't know. But that's my feeling. I really do have a feeling that that RIM is really trying to do something special here. And you know what? We should be happy about that. We should be supporting them, not and Android fans, not just Android fans, anybody that hates Apple. We talk bad about them suing everybody and stifling innovation, but yet no one's willing to try anything else. All these Android fans, all they do is, dog on Apple for stifling innovation, but yet anytime someone tries to use another operating system, whatever, that's crap. I mean, seriously, come on, okay? BlackBerry's crap. What about this stifling innovation talk that you were just doing, okay? I mean, how about giving somebody else a chance? So I'm going to give RIM a chance. And I lost my faith in them, wavered last week, but it is renewed, and I am totally excited, and I am so stoked for BlackBerry 10. Boom, I called it. I didn't really call anything. I just said that I'm excited, but there it is. And that's pretty much it. We might see a Samsung Galaxy Note 2 in August, with a release for October. So 5.5-inch display, quad-core processor, 12-megapixel camera, and Android 4.1. What's new? Samsung Galaxy Note coming to T-Mobile possibly within the next couple of weeks. We're seeing signs. Not like signs, like actual physical poster signs. We've seen the sign. No. So maybe the next couple of weeks. Motorola Atrix HD appears online and then it disappears. 4.5-inch display, 1280 by 720. Tell me if you've heard this before. 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor, a gig of RAM. Not that I'm not trying to hate on Android here. I mean, I'm not trying to do the whole all Android phones are the same. I mean, even though they're similar. This isn't just Android. I'm just talking about smartphones. It's like all right. We made them the best that they could possibly be. They've got quad-core processors and HD displays and great cameras, and I'm not saying that they can't get better, because that would be naive. I would be an idiot to say that. But we've made them awesome. From here on out, everything else is just a bonus. I want something special. I want something that's going to change the future, and that's what I'm looking for. I sometimes have these weird, deep thoughts. I know, it's so weird. Yeah. Um, we'll move on to the open Q&A. Thanks for listening, by the way. Like I said, I didn't really have a point there. I've been thinking about that for a long time, and I've kind of been searching for, like, what could it be, or every time we see like something new or a new product, I'm always like, is that it? Is that the next big thing? I'm always searching for that, and I kind of feel like RIM has been doing the same thing, and that they're actually trying to make that, and so I'm excited. I am reborn. Yes. Okay. Ask me questions. I'm here. Steve Nash on the Lakers. Yes, I know. I think that's actually pretty cool. Nash deserves a championship. He just does. I mean, Phoenix screwed him over so bad, and I'm so glad that I hope he gets a championship. I don't know. The Lakers weren't that great last year, so there's no guarantee that they'll win it this year, but hopefully. How was your day? It was pretty good. Um, how old are you? I'm 24. Yes. Check Facebook. I will. I just want to get some of these in first. Not sports, for the love of God. Hey, I will. I'm not even going to get into that. Okay. Um, Last week, my friend took over my Ustream account to keep on asking you about T-Mobile getting the getting the iPhone. Take this as an apology because I know how much you hate talking about the iPhone all the time. Oh, I didn't mean to give that impression. I don't mind talking about the iPhone. It's just, yeah, I guess, those people ask me, when is it coming to T-Mobile? I mean, like, how am I supposed to know that? But no, yeah, don't worry about it. Will Migo ever come back? Nokia was pretty clear that it was just kind of like a one-time thing. Nash would look weird in a Laker uniform. Yeah, you'll get used to it. Sydney, have you ever seen the Microsoft research department? No. What's your favorite Nokia Windows phone? Probably the Lumia 900. What has been wrong with your MacBook lately? The fan's been on all day. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's been on all day. So, I don't know. Other sports other than basketball, please. Yeah, I don't know. Ask me a question. I'm only answering questions, so. If you were to choose a country to live in other than USA and Canada, where would you live? I'd say either Italy or England. I've been asked this question before, I remember. But, yeah, Italy, I really like Italy. However, I talked to somebody one time, because I went over there when I was like 18 for a month, and I was talking to somebody, I was like, I would love to live here. Of course, I was an 18-year-old girl, so I was like, yeah, I want to live in Italy. And she said, she's like, well, because she was from, I can't remember what country she was from. She was Asian, and so, I think she was Korean. Anyway, she said, so she had moved over there, and she's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty awesome place to live, but, it's cool because, the buildings are so old and they're so historical, and it's like you're in a museum everywhere you go. And I was like, yeah, I know, it's so awesome. And she's like, yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's actually not very practical because, the sewage system sucks. The pipes are always breaking. Everything is 200 years old. And I was like, yeah, you bring up a good point. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to live there, but I'm not sure how it would work out. What are the top 5 phone hardware makers? I'm not sure do you mean to know like my top 5, like my favorites, or the top 5 sellers? I like HTC, I like Samsung, I like Asus. Falcons versus Cowboys, who would win? Football. Football is like my second sport, so, I don't know. I mean, I might say it's a draw, but then I might say the Cowboys would win because I think Romo is a better quarterback. But, of course, I know Dallas fans would be like, Romo sucks! But Romo is actually a lot better than people give him credit for, or that fans give him credit for. But at the same time, the Cowboys are so undisciplined. They get a flag freaking every time, so I don't know. Okay, why do you have a TV in your office? I don't. Do I have a TV? This is a monitor. This is a computer monitor. Room tour. It's really this is pretty much everything. I have a basketball goal on my door, and then I have a darts thing on the wall. Um, isn't the whole point of a 7-inch tab a consumption device just like a normal iPad? Pointless. Apple changed under Cook. Okay. Romo is so clutch. Romo, he actually has like what, the best fourth quarter quarterback rating in the league. I mean, he's actually good. Sydney, do you drive? Yes, I'm 24. I drive. What car do you own? We have a Toyota RAV4. You skipped my comment about skipping my question. I'm sorry. Is there a Nexus 10-inch? Maybe Nexus 10 coming? I'm not sure. How many apps are in the BlackBerry 10 app world? Something 60 or 80,000, something like that. Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? That's a tough one. I think I would take Brady. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers kind of cooled off last season. At the beginning of last season, I probably would have said Aaron Rodgers because he was hot. I mean, it was like unbeatable. He was unstoppable. You cannot stop Aaron Rodgers. But then he cooled off, especially in the playoffs. He didn't do that well. So I'd probably have to take Brady. I know we can't judge everything by rings, but they mean something, and so I'd probably take Tom Brady. Sydney, will you do any videos on the HTC One V for Virgin Mobile? I don't know, it just depends on if they send us one. You should make a short documentary about life without a microwave. I might. That's a good idea. What else is coming in the Windows Phone 7.8 update? We're not sure. So far as we know, it's just the new start screen. Any plans for a new Phone Dog logo? I'm not sure. Why do we only see you in a vid today and Aaron every day? He does more videos? I don't know. Would you sell your Kindle Fire to get a Nexus 7? I'm thinking about it, actually, yeah. Would you paint your wall, and what color? Well, I live in an apartment, so I can't paint my wall. What color? I don't know. Sydney. Wait, no, wait. Oh, you said BlackBerry 10. How many apps are for BlackBerry 10? Oh, okay. Is that what you were asking? How many apps are for BlackBerry 10? I'm not sure. Are you the one that asked about how many apps are in the BlackBerry app worlds? Sorry, I got confused there. Sydney, how come you never review phones? Yeah, I do. I can only review phones when we get them. And so since I review like mid-range and low-end phones, there just haven't been a lot of phone releases lately. I mean, if you look at Aaron, a lot of the videos he's doing are dogfights. So we've had some big releases. We had the 1 series, now the Evo and the Incredible, those are out. But, most of the videos he's doing are dogfights. I just haven't had a lot of phones to do dogfights. Things will pick up, Will you get Windows 8? Well, I don't have a Windows 8. I have a Windows PC, but it's my husband's. So, I don't know. We might upgrade his. Sydney, you didn't like one of the old Phone Dog layouts so much. What do you think of the new one? I like it. I'm kind of getting used to it. I like the header a lot more, but I'm kind of getting used to it. Please check Facebook. Okay. I don't like it when you guys tell me what to do. Do you think that Keyline Pie for tablets or phones or will be for tablets or phones or both because Honeycomb was for tablets? I'm pretty sure it'll be for both. Sydney, buy some rim stock where it's cheap. I know, actually, you might have been being you might be being sarcastic about that, but I actually was seriously thinking about buying some rim stock because I'm like, shoot, I think they're about to do something here. Sydney, how come you don't get feature phones anymore? That's just scheduling. I don't know, ask Aaron. It's, we do videos where it'll get the most views. and where it'll be worth the time and the pay. I mean, I get paid per video, and so they want to make sure that they can make back through revenue what they pay me, and apparently feature phones, they just don't get that much attention. Sydney, if you could be a princess for any country in the world, I like how like 80% of these questions are not even about phones. Okay, for any country in the world, what country would you be? I don't really know if I'd want to be a princess. Yeah, I don't know. England, I don't know. My friend wants to buy a €300 laptop, $350. Any suggestions? $350? I mean, I really don't. I would have to look and do the research. Laptop models are a lot more, definitive. There's a lot more of them than just phones. Ask me about a phone, I can say, boom, this phone. But there's so many laptops. So, besides, we don't do laptops. Why are you asking me about laptops? I don't know. Who has a better future, Windows Phone 8 or BlackBerry 10? Windows Phone 8, it's more sure. We know what they're going to do. It's going to be a great smartphone, and that's what people want, and they'll probably sell a lot of them. So it's more secure. BlackBerry 10, it's high risk, but high reward. Windows Phone 8, low risk, medium reward. BlackBerry 10, it's high risk, high reward. So there's a chance BlackBerry 10 could be huge, but I just don't know. Sydney, what's your favorite phone of all time? And you look amazingly awesome today. Thank you. I really need a haircut. My hair is so long, and I usually kind of just like do it to the side, but it's so long that it like just looks like a comb over, and so I kind of had to do like this whole rock grunge thing. My favorite phone of all time, I'd say the Galaxy S, the original one. Obviously, there's better phones since then. I love my HTC One S, but the Lumia 900, I love that phone. But just my favorite in terms of the one that just captivated me, I'd say the Galaxy S. Would you buy a WebOS phone if an OBM decided to license it? Sure. I mean, I'd like to try it again. See what they do with it. Phone Dog should have a segment of videos where you take apart new phones and review the insides, like iFixit. Okay, thank you for the suggestion. I still have the Galaxy S. Awesome. Sydney, should there be a Lumia 610 ever? Isn't it catered to the developing countries to lower costs where they don't have subsidies? Why can't Microsoft sell old previous Windows Phone like Apple does with iPhone? Yeah, if I worked in the business department of Nokia, I could probably answer that question, but I don't know. I really don't know. LG makes good fridges. Thank you for that input. WebOS going open source was the best thing HP ever did. What kind of fridge do you use? I don't know. Again, I live in an apartment, so it just came with it. I don't even know what brand it is. It's probably, I don't know. The Dark Knight Rises. Yes, I know. We are totally going to go see that. We're going to do I might have told you guys about this already. We're going to do a marathon. We're going to watch the first one, and then the second one, and then we're going to go watch The Dark Knight Rises. We were going to do a midnight showing, but we're thinking that we're not going to do that because those suck, and you're like miserable the whole time. So we might just see it like the next day or something, but yeah. Sydney, what do you think about HTC not putting the iBeats with their phones? It's more cost effective. I'll say that. The Resound was like $300, and part of that was probably because of the earbuds, even though they're probably the cheapest versions of those. But I think it's just more cost effective. I guess it would be nice to have the option. Like, okay, there is this phone that's $300, but it comes with the earbuds. But, if that's the case, just buy a phone for $200 and then buy the earbuds, That's probably what they figured too. Do more popping noises. It's funny. Whenever I upload the recording of the show and put it on YouTube, I have to watch it in order to create the timeline. And it's so funny. I make all of these noises and faces that I don't even realize. And then, I watch it and I'm just like, what the heck am I doing? It's kind of funny. So I did not realize that I was making popping noises. I'm sorry. Sydney, please don't say Google it. I hate Google. I use Bing. That's amazing. What do you think about all the Dark Knight Rises apps Nokia is making? Yeah, I got, when I had a Lumia, a Nokia Windows phone. Yeah, I got them, and it was pretty pointless. There was really nothing that I was like, oh, this is exclusive. It was like wallpapers and then the trailer, and that's pretty much it, Have you seen any good apps in the Windows Phone store? Well, I can tell you my favorite apps, Slacker. I use Slacker all the time. For Twitter, I use Rowie. I use that one. F My Life, I use that one a lot. I love reading those, F My Life. I'd have to remember off the top of my head. That is a very good question. If I had my Windows Phone here, I would just open it up and tell you. But favorite carrier? Probably Verizon. I'm not on Verizon, but they always have the fastest 4G speeds, and so I like that. Carbon for Twitter. I've tried Carbon. I didn't really like it, though. Sydney, why do you think everyone hates on LG? Their phones are great. Their UI is fine. What's your views on LG? I don't like their hardware or their software. So, their UI to me I don't like it. Official Twitter app is better for Windows Phone. Yeah, personal opinion. I mean, I disagree. I used it and I'm just like, nah, I'd rather go with something else. Pandora is better than Slacker. Use Pandora. I've used Pandora and I beg to differ. Slacker is better than Pandora. Slacker is more customizable, at least from my experience. It's a lot more customizable. Yeah, I like Slacker better. Will US Cellular get any new cool phones, or should I just get the Samsung Galaxy S3? US Cellular, let me check on that. Let's see. Cellular. The 1V, the HTC 1V is coming to US Cellular. The Galaxy S3 is much better than that, so and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'd go with the 1V, or with the Galaxy S3. It's 5:01. Let me see if there's any last questions on Facebook. Kids, when are you going to have kids? I don't want kids ever. That was kind of one of the things that my husband and I agreed on before we got married. We don't want kids. I just, some women have that, inborn nature to have children. They just want kids. And I've never had that desire. I search for that part of my, of myself that would want kids, and it's just not there. It's just, I love kids. I have a kid sister. She's 6. I love her to death. She's so cute and awesome. I love babies. But I don't want kids. Yeah. What's your take if Microsoft were to buy RIM? I don't know. I don't think that's right now, being talked about. I don't think right now there's any chance of that happening. So I don't know. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope we had a good show. I think we had a good show, but I will see you guys next week. I'm sorry if I missed your question. You can send me a message on Twitter at phonedog_Sydney. Otherwise, that's it. I will see you guys next week. Bye.